Peace be with you, and welcome to the Institute of All Intelligent Life. My name is Alan Kiesler, and we're continuing our class on meeting our space family. This is the third part, and we will discuss today Ricardo Gonzalez' first meeting with Antarel, the Apunian, the resident of the planet Apu, from the Alpha Centauri star system, and a little description and pictures of Antarel. So I will just say this will be a very short class because I have been called to teach today, so I won't be taking questions today, but I'll just share a little bit of the information about this very exciting adventure when Ricardo first met Antarel physically. That is, as we had described in the last couple of classes, Ricardo met Antarel telepathically. That is, he received telepathic messages to go out onto the roof of his house to see us and to see their spacecraft, that is. So he did that when he was a young man with his, or child even, with his brother and parents and sister. All of them saw the craft. And then he had a number of telepathic conversations with Antarel. But now we will see the picture and the drawings of the first encounter he had. So I will just preface this by saying that before this, many people in Peru, in Bolivia, and in other Latin American countries had been meeting with extraterrestrials. Some, as we read yesterday, had miraculous healings, and others had physical contacts, not only in South America and Central America. In Spain also there was a group. Actually, there were groups all over the world who were contacting from the 1950s extraterrestrials, and some, like myself, were fortunate to meet them physically and aboard their craft even. So I'm just going to read a little bit about Ricardo Gonzalez' first meeting with Antarel. So Ricardo says that he had initiated telepathic contact. That is, he was able to, by his own intention, contact Antarel telepathically. But still, the meetings were always arranged by the Apunians. They're obviously, he said, not only technologically, but in terms of telepathic and psychic powers, they are more advanced than we are. They are fourth-dimensional beings, at least, as we are becoming now, with telepathic abilities and other psychic abilities becoming natural. This will become natural and common amongst human beings in the near future. So Ricardo writes that I had my first physical encounter with Antarel on August 30th, 1997. That contact occurred in the desert of Chilca, about 9 miles into the mountains. It was the same area where J.J. Benitez had seen 2 UFOs. In 1974, he had an encounter with an extraterrestrial named Culpa Apu, which was arranged through a message received by Carlos Paz-Wells. So in some cases, the extraterrestrials would give telepathic messages to one person for another person to go someplace to meet them. My first physical meeting with Antarel, Ricardo writes, was intense. I immediately recognized him as the telepathic speaker who had contacted me years earlier. The Apunians, as I mentioned, have an average height of 2 meters, but Antarel was one of the tallest at 8.8 feet tall. So he obviously could not pass as an ordinary human being, because very few human beings get anywhere near. Even much over 7 feet is very rare. He was a true giant. He had the appearance of a 35-year-old athlete with Nordic features and slanted eyes. That is, even though he was close to 1,000 years old, as I recall, he looked only 35. He wore a silver metal suit attached to his body as if it were a second skin. In subsequent contacts where I could be closer to him, I saw that his eyes were honey-colored and were highlighted against his impeccable white skin. He had very fine platinum blonde hair, almost gray, and of shoulder length. His appearance was so beautiful that if I had seen him thousands of years ago, I would have thought that he was an angel. So, Ricardo has written in his book Cosmic Legacy about this meeting, and he later was invited to go on their ships, their spaceships also. But I'm just going to conclude this short class with a picture showing the picture that is in Ricardo's book of Antarel. And you will see is just as he described here. So this is a drawing of Antarel. Looks very human, of course. But if you compare him to an ordinary human being, here's a picture of an ordinary human being, or maybe a slightly shorter than normal human being, with Antarel, who is, well over 2.5 meters tall, well over 8.5 feet tall. And here's another maybe person who's more of a normal or shorter Apunian height. All right. As I said, I now have to go to teach today. I was called to teach, so I will be ending the class now. But thank you all very much for continuing to attend. We will, unless I get called to teach again tomorrow, we will have a class. If I do get called, I might have a short class like this one. So we look forward to seeing you again tomorrow, God willing. Peace be with you. Allah Hafiz.